You know that feeling when you're trying to get your head around something important, but you're just completely swamped by
Yeah,
information?
like trying to find that one specific thread in a huge haystack.
Exactly. That's what the deep dive is all about. We sift through the pile so you don't have to. We try to pull out the real nuggets of knowledge.
Hmm.
And today, based on some really fascinating material you've sent our way, we're diving into the intriguing, maybe slightly unsettling world of secret weapons, the ones used by people who aim to deceive.
Yeah, our goal here is really to shine a light on these tactics.
Mm.
They can be subtle, but they're powerful.
Right.
And by understanding how they work, you'll be hopefully better equipped to spot them in your daily life.
Mm.
And crucially, protect yourself from, their influence.
Okay.
Your sources highlighted, I think it was 6 key psychological strategies that often pop up when someone isn't being entirely straight with you.
Okay, 6 of them. Let's dive into the first one then. Scotoma. Now that sounds a bit technical, maybe medical.
It does sound that way. But in this context, we're talking about selective inattention, basically overlooking specific information.
Okay, let's unpack this. So it's like they're showing you the highlight reel, but leaving out all the bloopers. Like showing the great features of a new phone, but forgetting to mention the battery life is terrible.
That's a perfect analogy. Exactly.
Mhm.
A deceiver using scotoma will, strategically present only the information that supports their side.
While hiding the crucial bits that contradict it.
Precisely. And what's fascinating here, I think, is that it's not just about them hiding stuff. It actually plays on our own cognitive biases.
How so?
Well, research suggests the more, let's say, emotionally invested we are in something turning out well, the more likely we are to subconsciously just filter out the negative bits.
Huh. So it's not just them showing the highlights.
No, it's like our own minds are dimming the lights on the potential downsides, almost helping them out.
Wow. That's a really interesting point about our own biases. So to counter that, it sounds like we need to actively kind of train ourselves to look for what's not being said.
Absolutely. Ask questions, dig a little deeper. Don't just take the presented information at face value.
Got it. Okay, the second tactic, balance theory. This one sounds like it involves, I don't know, scales or something, keeping things even.
Not literal scales, no.
Oh.
In this context, balance theory is about how deceivers use positive relationships, or importantly, the appearance of positive relationships to influence your choices.
Okay.
So they work to create this maybe false sense of shared values, or even a kind of superficial friendship, all to build trust that they can, well, exploit later.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like they're building a connection just to take advantage of it later, like becoming your buddy strategically.
You've got it. They want you to feel comfortable, connected, so you lower your guard.
And the sources you sent gave a pretty stark example, didn't they? Someone goes out of their way, finds common interests, makes you feel like, wow, a real connection.
Mm-hmm. Builds that rapport.
And then, bam, once that bond feels solid, they hit you with a big ask, like borrowing money, serious money, with maybe zero intention of paying it back.
Exactly. And if we connect this back to Scotoma, like you mentioned,
Right.
they've built up such a positive highlight reel of your friendship that you might just ignore the red flags when that big request comes.
So how do we tell the difference then between, a genuine connection forming and someone using this tactic? That seems really hard.
It is hard, but often it comes down to the speed and maybe the intensity of the connection.
Feels too fast.
Yeah, a genuine friendship usually builds over time, organically.
Yeah.
With balance theory in play, it might feel, I don't know, accelerated, almost a bit too good to be true.
Like you're suddenly best friends after a week.
Right. Or you find yourself sharing very personal things really quickly,
Huh.
maybe pushed along by this manufactured rapport they've created. It's just, well, it's important to keep a little bit of objectivity, even when you feel a strong click with someone new.
Maintain some perspective. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, tactic number 3, smear campaign. That sounds pretty aggressive.
It is definitely a more aggressive tactic. A smear campaign is, well, deliberately attacking someone's reputation, spreading false rumors, misinformation.
Why would someone do that?
Often, it's employed when the deceiver feels like they're losing control, or maybe they're worried the target might expose them.
Ah, okay. So what does this all mean? It's a way to discredit you so no one believes you if you call them out later, like a preemptive strike.
Exactly. Damage the target's honor, their credibility. The goal is to isolate them, undermine anything they might try to say.
And the sources also had that warning, didn't they, about gossip?
Yes, a really important point. Be wary of those who constantly gossip about others to you, because chances are they might eventually turn that behavior towards you too.
That's a chilling thought. It really raises questions about, the whole social dynamic of trust and how easily misinformation can just wreck someone's reputation.
Absolutely. And it really underscores the importance of critical thinking, doesn't it? When we hear negative stuff about someone, especially if the source seems to have a reason to discredit them.
We need to ask, what's the motive here? Is there any actual evidence?
Precisely. Don't just accept it.
Good reminder. Okay, number 4 is manipulative self-disclosure. This one feels slippery. Because isn't being open, sharing things, usually a good sign, like building trust?
Yeah, absolutely can be in genuine relationships. But manipulative self-disclosure is different. It's a calculated strategy.
Calculator how?
It involves sharing, say, superficial or maybe even slightly fabricated personal information. The goal isn't genuine connection. It's to gain your trust. And more importantly, to make you feel obligated to reciprocate, to share more significant details about yourself. Details they can then use.
Okay, let's unpack this. So it's like a low-stakes confession to get you to spill the high-stakes secrets. They share something minor to make you feel safe sharing something major.
That's a great way to put it. The sources mention someone sharing like a small problem they had, hoping it prompts you to reveal a much bigger vulnerability you're facing.
Creating a false sense of mutual vulnerability.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is how cleverly it exploits our social conditioning around reciprocity. Someone shares something personal, you feel almost compelled to match it.
Even if their share wasn't quite real.
Or wasn't that significant, yeah. They're banking on that feeling of obligation.
So how do we navigate that? Those early conversations where you're getting to know someone without just shutting down, but also without oversharing?
Well, one key is to observe the flow. After they share, are they genuinely interested in your response, in you? Or does it feel a bit like an interrogation disguised as a friendly chat?
Like they're just waiting for their turn to extract info.
Kind of. Also, pay attention to the type of information they share. Does it feel genuinely personal and maybe a little vulnerable? Or is it more like a polished anecdote, maybe designed to get a specific reaction from you?
Trust your gut feeling on this one.
Absolutely. If it feels off or too transactional or just calculated, it probably is. Listen to that feeling.
Okay, that's helpful. All right, number 5, manipulative moralizing. It sounds unpleasant, like someone's trying to make you feel bad or guilty.
That's precisely the goal. Manipulative moralizing is all about making you feel guilty for not meeting the deceiver's standards. And these standards are often, well, arbitrary or self-serving.
So they're using guilt.
They're weaponizing guilt, using it as a tool to control your behavior, make you feel maybe inferior and therefore more easily influenced.
Here's where it gets really interesting. They're essentially twisting morality, right and wrong, just to get their way.
Exactly. Using ethics or morals as a weapon. The sources had that example, remember. A friend constantly criticizing your lifestyle choices,
Yeah.
framing them as somehow morally wrong or deficient. But the real aim isn't your moral improvement. It's controlling your actions, your decisions.
And if we link this back maybe to balance theory, they might try to paint themselves as morally superior to create that power imbalance.
That's a very common tactic, yes.
Yeah.
Positioning themselves as the good one. So the question becomes, how do we tell the difference between someone genuinely expressing concern and someone just trying to manipulate us with guilt?
Yeah, that's tough.
I think a key difference is often consistency and focus. A real friend might express a worry, occasionally, out of genuine care.
Right.
Manipulative moralizer. They'll likely bring up these supposed moral feelings again and again,
Yeah.
often maybe in public or in front of others. The goal isn't support. It's usually about making you doubt yourself. It feels like control, not care.
That distinction between control and care is crucial. Makes perfect sense. Okay, finally, tactic number 6, the pity party. We've all met someone like this, right? Always the victim.
Oh, definitely. The pity party tactic is about gaining favor or getting people to do things for them by constantly appearing helpless, victimized, just generally down on their luck.
So they exaggerate problems. Or maybe even fake incompetence.
Yes, to trigger sympathy
Yeah.
and ultimately to get assistance that serves their agenda, not necessarily yours.
So what does this all mean? It's about playing on your empathy, making you feel bad enough or sorry enough to do what they want.
That's the absolute core of it. And like the sources pointed out, this often links up with manipulative moralizing.
How so?
They might frame their suffering as being because of someone else, maybe even you. implying you're not supportive enough or understanding enough.
Amplifying the guilt to make you feel obligated to step in and fix it.
Exactly. Which raises that really crucial question, doesn't it? About the fine line between genuinely helping someone who needs it and getting manipulated by someone who's just acting helpless.
Yeah, where's that line?
It's often about patterns. Look for patterns. Is this person always in crisis mode? When you offer help, do they actually take steps to improve things?
Yeah.
Or do they seem to just stay stuck in that victim role, always needing rescue?
Relying on others constantly.
Right. And trust your instincts again. If you consistently feel drained or maybe even resentful after interacting with someone who's always throwing these pity parties, that could be a big red flag for manipulation.
Wow. It's honestly, it's quite eye-opening seeing all these different ways, these subtle tactics people might use to influence or deceive.
It is. It really is. But, like we said at the start, awareness really is your best defense. Just understanding these 6 tactics, Scotoma, balance theory, smear campaigns, manipulative self-disclosure, manipulative moralizing, and these pity parties, it puts you in a much stronger position.
To see things more clearly.
Exactly. To navigate your relationships with more clarity, more confidence. And remember, things like setting healthy boundaries, communicating openly, assertively, these are like your shields against this kind of manipulation. Ultimately, prioritizing your own safety, your well-being, your self-respect.
Yeah.
It isn't selfish. It's absolutely essential.
So just to quickly recap for everyone, we've been a deep dive into these 6 secret weapons of deception. We looked at Scotoma, how it blinds us, balance theory, using those fake connections, smear campaigns, attacking reputation, manipulative self-disclosure, that fake vulnerability, manipulative moralizing, using guilt, and the pity party, playing the victim.
That covers them.
Hopefully this whole discussion has given you a useful framework, something to help you understand and maybe recognize these kinds of behaviors if they pop up in your own life.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Think back on some of your own interactions, maybe recently, maybe further back. Can you perhaps identify any moments where these tactics might have been subtly at play? And now, with this awareness, how might you approach a similar situation differently next time? That kind of personal reflection, that's where this knowledge really starts to make a difference, I think.